After a year of silent treatment over something trivial, Isabella sent me a text. She said she had a surprise for me. My heart raced as I drove to the airport, giddy with anticipation. I found her at the arrivals gate, holding a baby. That was a surprise. A rare smile bloomed on Isabella's proud, beautiful face. The smile on my own face froze, and I stood there, rooted to the spot. "Liam, you have to believe me. This baby is yours," she pleaded. "Why would I, a woman, ever lie to you about something like this?" Isabella's best friend, Chloe, rushed up to me, jabbing a finger in my chest. "Liam, what the hell is your problem? Bella is as pure as the driven snow. You think she'd cheat on you?" I let out a cold laugh. "Do you really think I'm that stupid?" Isabella Rossi was my girlfriend. Stunning, tall, with a personality I once thought was innocent and warm. I'd beaten out a dozen other guys to finally win her over. A year ago, we had a fight. I saw her coming out of a hotel with her guy best friend and immediately decked him. That was the start of the silent treatment. The next day, Chloe found me and swore that the hotel lobby was crowded, that they just happened to be walking out at the same time I saw them. She insisted Isabella hadn't betrayed me. I had chased Bella for years. I didn't want to throw it all away, so I chose to believe her. But when I went to see Bella, her family just hemmed and hawed, telling me she'd gone away on a business trip, and they didn't know when she'd be back. For a year, I sent countless texts. She never answered a single one. I hit up all her friends, but no one knew where she was. She was my first love. In my mind, she was already my wife. I didn't have eyes for anyone else. Just as I was about to lose all hope, her text came through. I was so excited I couldn't sleep a wink. Her flight was scheduled for noon, but I was at the airport before the sun was fully up, unable to wait. I spotted her from a distance. A year apart had made her figure a little fuller. It looked like she'd been living well. I waved excitedly. I saw her mom walking beside her, holding a baby. When they came through the gate, Isabella took the baby from her mother and stood in front of me. I was just staring, confused. In my naivete, I thought maybe her mom had a late-in-life baby, a little brother for Bella. "Bella." I couldn't help but shout her name. She smiled at me, then handed the infant back to her mother. "Mom, take the baby to the car." The child suddenly started wailing. Her mother quickly cooed, "Shoot, sweetheart, don't cry, don't cry. Mommy will be right there." Hearing that, I went numb. Mommy? This was Bella's child. I looked at her, my voice trembling. "What did your mom just say?" A flicker of panic crossed Isabella's face before she met my gaze with forced determination. "Liam, this baby is yours." Her words sent my mind into a white-hot blank. I frantically tried to do the math, to find any way her story could be true. The baby looked barely a month or two old. We'd been apart for over a year, and before we stopped speaking, we hadn't been intimate for at least 3 months. This child could not possibly be mine. I took a step back, my eyes cold. Years of chasing her, a year of desperate waiting. In that single moment, my heart turned to ice. I sneered. "Say that again." She panicked, grabbing my hand. "Liam, it's true. Would I really lie to you about this?" Her voice cracked. "I know I was wrong to ignore you for a year, but I'm back now, and I brought back the fruit of our love. Shouldn't you be happy?" "Happy?" I laughed again, a bitter, hollow sound. "Happy that you cheated on me? Happy that you want me to be your fallback guy?" "No, that's not it. That's not it," Isabella stammered, her composure crumbling. Just then, Chloe stepped in, wrapping an arm around Bella's shoulders. They shared a quick, meaningful glance, and Bella seemed to regain some of her nerve. "Liam Carter, are you even a man?" Chloe spat. "Our Bella went through childbirth all alone in another city, for you, and now that she's back, you're not grateful. You're questioning the baby." She turned to Bella. "You know what, Bella? You shouldn't have come back. You shouldn't have forgiven him." Of course. Chloe Evans had her fingerprints all over this. She was Bella's best friend. Over the past year, I'd given her expensive gifts to pass on to Bella, trying to get a message through. Now I realized I might as well have been feeding them to a dog. My fists clenched at my sides. "Fine. You say the kid is mine? Then let's go to the hospital right now. We're getting a paternity test." At that, Isabella's face went pale. "No. Enough," Chloe shouted, cutting her off. "Liam, our Bella is an angel. You think she would lie to you? You chased her for years. Now you have a child together. Why can't you just get your license, plan the wedding, and be a family? Why do you have to make this a scene? Are you a man or not? Trying to duck your responsibilities?" My eyes, burning with rage, were locked on Isabella. She avoided my gaze, unable to look at me. Seeing things were going south, Chloe stepped in front of Bella, her chin high, a smug expression on her face, as if she had me completely cornered. I just laughed. I said, "We're going to the hospital for a DNA test. Otherwise, I'm not acknowledging anything. With that, I turned and walked away. My phone blew up the entire drive home, but I didn't have the heart to look. When I finally got back to my apartment, I saw the group chat was in a frenzy. It was Chloe, spamming everyone. Liam Carter, are you a man? Bella had your baby, and now you want to bail. You're a real piece of work. A deadbeat dad, trying to hit it and quit it. You better get your ass back here and apologize to Bella. If you don't, you'll never see her or your child again. On and on she went. And in the chat, a few idiots were actually buying her bullshit. Wow, never would have guessed. Liam always acted so devoted. Turns out he's just a scumbag. Isn't this just abandoning his wife and child? Bella, don't worry, we've got your back. This group chat was full of our mutual friends. I created it after Bella and I started our Cold War, hoping to get information on her whereabouts. For the past year, I'd occasionally drop a big chunk of cash into the chat's virtual red envelope function, and they'd all praise me for being so loyal and dedicated, promising to tell me if they heard anything. Now, with just a few words from Chloe, they'd all turned on me. What a bunch of morons. I wasn't going to argue with them. I just left the group chat. I had no interest in getting trapped in a cycle of defending myself. If Chloe and Isabella were bold enough to frame me like this, they must have had some kind of plan. It was pointless to waste my time on it. That evening, my best friend, Mark Davis, called. Liam, what's going on, man? You're a dad, and you didn't even tell me? Does this mean I finally get to be the cool godfather or what? I felt a surge of anger. Other people could be clueless, but not Mark. He was my best friend. He couldn't fall for this. Mark, use your brain for a second. I haven't seen Bella in over a year. She shows up out of the blue with a baby and says it's mine. Doesn't that sound even a little bit weird to you? Mark was confused. Haha, what's so weird about it? It just means my boy's got game. Now you've really got her locked down. She gave you a kid. She's never getting away from you now. Mark, I yelled into the phone. Would you please think for one goddamn second? I haven't touched her in over a year. How could that baby possibly be mine? The line went silent. After a long pause, his voice was quiet. Liam, are you saying the kid isn't yours? His density left me speechless. Of course it's not. I shot back. Think about it. Your girlfriend disappears for a year, comes back with a 2-month-old baby, says it's yours, but refuses a paternity test. Does that sound like your kid? Holy shit, you're right, he said, finally getting it. I almost believed those idiots in the chat. He sounded sheepish. Liam, man, I didn't mean anything by it. Don't be pissed. I sighed, a small laugh escaping. It's fine. I know what a meathead you are. I changed the subject. Hey, since you called, you know how you've been giving Bella's dad's construction crew jobs as a favor to me? You can stop that now. Done, Mark said, a malicious chuckle in his voice. You want me to throw a wrench in the works for him? Do whatever you want. The Rossi family looked well off. They lived in one of the best gated communities in Denver. Her dad drove a 6-figure car. Her mom played high-stakes poker all day, and her brother was a globetrotter who'd supposedly studied abroad. The truth was Bella's dad was just a small-time contractor. The only reason they lived so comfortably was because of me. I made sure his crew had a steady stream of work, and I always made sure his invoices were paid on time, no questions asked. Without me pulling those strings, let's see how long their comfortable little life lasts. They tried to make a fool of me, to saddle me with another man's child. If they thought they could get away with it without consequences, they had no idea who they were messing with. Bella must have been panicking when she realized I wasn't falling for her trap. Chloe, do you think Liam will give in? Chloe's voice was confident. Bella, trust me. Liam is obsessed with you. He'll come crawling back in a few days. But, no buts. Liam Carter cares about his reputation. The news is already out there. He won't be able to stand the pressure. Just relax, she added. And he wants a paternity test? Fine. Tomorrow, I'll take you to see my cousin. Is your cousin a doctor at the hospital? No, my cousin makes fake IDs. Bella had already given birth to the child, so why was she so desperate for me to be the father? It made me intensely curious. Knowing her and her family, if the child was really mine, they wouldn't have waited a single day to tell me. Especially Bella's father and her brother, Brandon. Those two would have been on my doorstep demanding benefits the second they found out. There's no way they would have stayed quiet until now. The moment Bella and I made our relationship official, her brother hit me up to take credit. He claimed he'd worked tirelessly, singing my praises to convince her. He then dragged me to a dealership and wouldn't leave until I'd bought him a $50,000 car. On top of that, he'd borrow $3,000 or $5,000 from me every couple of weeks. Money he, of course, never paid back. Her dad was even worse. He'd frequently call me late at night, either to cover his bar tab or to be his alibi when he was at a gentleman's club. He leashed a small fortune off me over the years. Back then, I was serious about marrying her, so I didn't think much of the money. If Bella had come back this time and just told me she wanted to break up, I would have accepted it. But trying to play me for a fool? That was something I couldn't let slide. I started digging through my financial records, tallying up everything I'd spent on her family. The numbers were staggering. Not counting cash, the digital transfers alone were a huge sum. Her brother, Brandon, was the worst offender. In just a few years, I had zelled him over $200,000. That didn't even include the car I bought him, the gadgets he'd occasionally grab from me, or the fat envelopes of cash I gave him for holidays. All in, it had to be close to $1 million. Her father appeared less frequently, but the amounts were always substantial. I'd paid over $100,000 in his personal bills, and his spa visits cost me nearly another $100,000. I never transferred money directly to her mother, but I'd bought her plenty of jewelry. Not to mention the expensive organic supplements and imported health foods she consumed, all on my dime. And what I spent on Isabella herself was even more. From clothes and makeup to cars and designer bags, I honestly lost count, but it was easily over $1 million. All things considered, in the few years we were together, I'd spent nearly $3 million on her and her family. This made it even more baffling. I had treated them so well. Why would Isabella do this to me? I forwarded everything to my lawyer. I didn't care how much he could get back. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about the principle. At the same time, I hired a private investigator. I wanted to know where Isabella had been for the past year, what she had been doing, and whose child she was really carrying. Before I heard back from a P.I., Isabella and Chloe showed up at my door. The second I opened it, Chloe glared at me. "Liam, you have to believe me. The baby is yours." "Cut the crap," I interrupted her. "Isabella, do you really take me for an idiot? You just show up with some random baby and claim it's mine? You know damn well how long it's been since we were together." I let out a humorless, menacing laugh. "Or maybe, Isabella, you don't even know who the father is yourself, do you?" Isabella's face flushed a deep crimson. You're talking nonsense." Chloe stepped in front of her, hands on her hips. Her normally pretty face was twisted into an ugly, snarling mask. "Liam Carter, how could you say that, Isabella? Are you a man at all?" "Yes, she was wrong to leave without a word, but she's back now. And she gave you a son. What more could you possibly want?" I snorted. "Who left the gate open and let you, their mad dog, out?" You what? You keep asking if I'm a man. Are your eyes broken? Or are you just curious to find out for yourself?" "You're shameless." Chloe, who was even paler than Bella, blushed an even deeper red than her friend. Fine, she seethed. "You want a paternity test? Here's your result." She nudged Bella. "Show him." Bella, looking startled, fumbled in her purse and handed me a folded document. I took it and glanced at it. I was stunned for a second, but then I quickly understood. They really did think I was a moron. The test was supposedly conducted yesterday, and they already had the results today? For a blood test, no less. This wasn't just ignorant. It was idiotic. When exactly did I go to a hospital to give a blood sample? My question hung in the air. They exchanged a look, their wide eyes filled with a mixture of cluelessness and stupidity. It was obvious they didn't understand what I was talking about. I sighed in exasperation. "Look closely. This report is based on a blood comparison." "How did you get my blood?" I paused, letting it sink in. "And you're really something else. You even managed to change my blood type." "I'm type A. This says I'm type O. You two are a real pair of clowns." They fell silent. Then, they turned their backs to me and started whispering furiously. "I thought you said he was O-type. How did he become A-type? How would I know his blood type? You were the one who said, most people are O. What do we do now? What else can we do? We have to go." With that, they scurried away like mice. They had barely left when I got a text from Isabella's brother, Brandon. "Yo, bro-in-law, need $3,000. Urgent." When he first started asking for money, he would at least make up some excuse. But I was always so quick to send it that he eventually dropped the pretense. He didn't even bother to call anymore. I ignored it. A minute later, my phone rang. It was him. "Bro-in-law, what's up? Where's the money? Get lost." There were 2 seconds of silence on the other end. Then Brandon's voice turned threatening. "Liam Carter, what the hell is your problem? You want me to tell my sister to ignore you for the rest of her life?" It was clear this kid hadn't been home in a few days and had no idea what was going on. If he knew Bella had brought home a son for me, he would have been calling to demand a payout long ago. "Go ahead." I hung up. He called again. I declined. He called again. I declined again. After a few more tries, he finally gave up. I couldn't block him just yet, not until I'd settled the score with his family. A few days later, my lawyer called. He said he could recover at least half of the money I'd spent on them. I told him to proceed immediately. The P.I. also got back to me. He'd found out that after Isabella left a year ago, She went to Los Angeles to find her ex-boyfriend. After that, she began her travels. That was all he had for now. I looked at the report, shaking my head with a bitter smile. I never thought Isabella could sink so low. I had met her ex once, when he came back for the holidays shortly after Bella and I started dating. She introduced him as a distant cousin. I even treated him and a few of my friends to a nice dinner. After the meal, Mark pulled me aside and said the guy looked familiar, but I didn't think anything of it at the time. It wasn't until later, when Mark and I were hanging out again, that he told me he had secretly taken a photo of the cousin and asked around. A few days later, Mark confirmed it. He wasn't her cousin at all. He was her ex-boyfriend. I hadn't made a big deal out of it. Everyone has a past. As long as she didn't cross any lines, it was fine. I never saw the guy again after that, so I forgot about it. So, she had run back to her ex. What happened over the past year was painfully obvious. But there was one thing I couldn't figure out. If they had gotten back together, to the point of having a child, why come back and find me? Soon after, Isabella called me. Liam Carter, have you gone too far? We were together for so long, and now you're asking me to pay you back. I didn't hold back. Too far? Is it more too far than you trying to make me raise another man's kid? I didn't. The baby is your child. I shook my head. She was really sticking to that lie. I was done talking to her and hung up. She called again. I declined. She kept calling, relentless. This was the most persistent she'd ever been. I was almost curious to hear what else she had to say. Liam, that money. Can you just let it go? Her voice was pleading. No. My tone was flat. That couldn't make me soften, and it certainly wouldn't make me forgive the hurt she'd caused. Liam, I know you looked for me for a year. It was my fault, I'm sorry. But I'm back now. I promise you, if we get married, I will never disappear again. I'll stay home and build a good life with you, okay? No. I hung up the phone. Let me raise someone else's child and build a good life. She was really determined to make me her sucker. A few days later, the P.I. sent another update. This one was comprehensive, with a full itinerary of her past year and a collection of photos. I clicked open the first picture. It was her in a bikini on a yacht, a fawning smile on her face. Subsequent photos showed her and her ex having dinner in a fancy restaurant, walking arm in arm into a hotel, and most tellingly, numerous shots of them going to a hospital together. Looking at the timeline, it was clear the baby belonged to him. The last page was a background check on the man, Rick Miller. He'd spent 3 years abroad to get some meaningless degree and was now working at his family's factory. The real kicker? The guy had been married for 3 years and already had a son and a daughter. Suddenly, it all made sense. He was a married man with a family. He was just playing around. He had no intention of marrying Isabella. Isabella wasn't left with nothing, though. Rick had given her $1 million, but he made it very clear the money was a clean break. It was a decent sum, certainly enough to raise a child on. Initially, Isabella hadn't planned on coming back to me. It was Chloe who told her that instead of sitting around and burning through the money, she should find a sucker. And that's when her sights fell on me. Isabella had assumed she could wrap me around her little finger, just like before. She never imagined I wouldn't take the bait. Not only did I refuse, but I was also demanding she pay me back. Now, she was in a full-blown panic. Meanwhile, her father, mother, and brother had all found out what was happening. The entire family gathered for a crisis meeting. Her mother spoke first. Bella, you know how much Liam likes you. He came to our house countless times this past year asking about you. Her tone was conciliatory. He's just feeling wronged right now. You need to drop the attitude, say some nice things to him. If you have to, beg him. Yes, sis, Brandon chimed in. You know what Liam's like. He's a total simp for you. All you have to do is bat your eyelashes, and he'll be eating out of your hand again. Hearing her mom and brother's words, the worried look on Isabella's face vanished, replaced by a renewed confidence. That's right, she thought. Liam loves me so much. He spent a whole year looking for me. Ahem. Her father cleared his throat. That may be true, but every man has his limits. Bella, you really went too far this time. Dad, what are you talking about? Brandon scoffed. Calling Liam devoted is just being polite. The guy's a doormat. Forget my sister having a baby, even if she brought another man home. All she'd have to do is sweet-talk him a little, and Liam would come crawling back on his hands and knees. At this, a smug smile spread across Isabella's face, as if she could already picture me groveling at her feet. Sigh. Her father let out a long breath. I don't understand you young people, but if Liam does soften up, don't play hard to get. Just get the marriage license signed. Did you hear me? Before Bella could answer, her mother jumped in, annoyed. Hey, old man, whose side are you on? Our Bella is gorgeous. Even if that kid Liam agrees, before we talk about marriage licenses, the bride price can't be a penny less. Otherwise, he can forget it. Her brother got fired up too. Right, Mom's right. Sis, Don't you dare let him off easy. The bride price has to be at least $1 million plus a condo downtown, and it has to be in my name. As for the car, it's got to be a G-Wagon. Fired up by their talk, Isabella smiled, lost in a fantasy of her wonderful future. After the family meeting, Isabella still felt a little unsure, so she called Chloe and recounted the entire conversation. Bella, you're just too soft-hearted, Chloe said. Don't forget, you were the most popular girl in school. You had guys lining up for you. Even without Liam Carter, you have plenty of options. She paused for effect. If you ask me, if he wants to marry you, we need to add 2 more conditions. First, Liam has to legally adopt the child. Second, all of his money has to be transferred to your control. Isabella, who had already been doubting her parents' and brother's more modest demands, felt a surge of confidence after hearing Chloe's advice. She couldn't wait to start typing. The $1 million bride price became $2 million. 1 condo became 2. 1 in her name, 1 in her brother's. The single G-Wagon became 3. 1 for her, 1 for her brother, and 1 for her father. Of course, she wasn't satisfied with just Chloe's 2 conditions. In addition to me legally adopting the child, I would also have to change my last name to hers to Rossi. The reason? So the child wouldn't get confused when he grew up. As for the money, it wasn't enough for her to control my savings and salary. My parents' savings had to be put under her management as well. Isabella typed out a several hundred-word manifesto. She read it over a few times, then, completely satisfied, sent it to me. I was taking a sip of water when the message came through. I read it and immediately sprayed a mouthful across my screen. Even if she hadn't disappeared for a year, I would never have agreed to such outrageous demands. Let alone now, after she'd had another man's baby, and I had to change my last name to hers. The audacity to claim it was to avoid confusing the child. She had some nerve. They say pregnancy makes you stupid for a while, but this wasn't just stupidity. This was a complete lack of a brain. I didn't want to waste a single word on a person like that, afraid she'd misinterpret any reply as a sign of interest. Instead, I called my lawyer and told him to speed things up. I'd pay him extra. Understood, Mr. Carter. I'll head over to the Rossi residence shortly. This can't be right. I sent it to the right number. Why hasn't he replied yet? Isabella sat on her bed, staring intently at her phone, muttering to herself. She was so focused she didn't even hear the baby crying beside her. He always replies to my messages instantly. Is he out getting everything ready? Yes, that must be it. Just then, the doorbell rang. She leaped up and rushed to the door, her hand hovering over the handle before she stopped herself. No, I can't forgive him that easily. And were my demands too low? Yes, that must be it. I'll raise the bride price to $5 million. Yes, $5 million. She flung the door open. Let me tell you, I'm not going to forgive you that, Ise. She stopped mid-sentence, stunned. It wasn't Liam Carter at the door, but a stranger in a suit. Good afternoon, Ms. Rossi. I am Liam Carter's attorney. I am here to formally request the repayment of funds Mr. Carter spent on you and your family. What? Hearing that he wasn't here to deliver a bride price, but to collect a debt, her whole family swarmed to the door. Isabella stumbled backward, shaking her head in disbelief. Impossible, impossible. Her mother rushed forward. Don't you come in here with your lies. When did our family ever spend his money? Get the hell out of our house. Her brother backed her up. Yeah, we never took his money. Now get lost. As a seasoned lawyer, he had seen shameless people before, but a whole family this brazen was a rarity. Especially the brother, Brandon, who had received the most money but was now lying with a perfectly straight face. If he didn't have the evidence in his briefcase, the lawyer might have even doubted himself for a second. He didn't waste his breath arguing. He simply took out a thick file and handed it over. The full amount, along with a detailed breakdown of every transaction, is in this report. You can look it over. I'll give you 1 day. I will be back tomorrow morning. If the funds are not returned by then, we will be filing a lawsuit. He turned to leave, then stopped at the door and smiled pleasantly. Just a friendly reminder for you. With the holidays coming up, if you fail to pay, your bank accounts will be frozen. Have a nice day. With that, the entire family was left speechless. Any lingering hope they had of simply ignoring the debt was shattered. The lawyer had blocked their only escape route. Now, they had no choice but to pay. At the same time, my lawyer called to update me. I was very satisfied with his approach. I had to be ruthless. After years of dealing with them, and especially after this baby incident, I saw them for who they truly were. I couldn't give them an inch. That evening, the Rossi family showed up at my door, just as I had expected. Years of my generosity had completely spoiled them. Wary of what they might try, I had asked Mark and a few other friends to come over. The moment they were inside, Brandon started cursing and lunged at me. Before he could land a punch, Mark and another buddy tackled him and pinned him down. But his mouth kept running. Liam Carter, what the hell is your problem? I swear to God, I'll make my sister ignore you for the rest of your life. I really have spoiled you rotten, I said with a cold laugh. For years, I've fed you and clothed you. Even a dog would show some gratitude. Raising you was worse than raising a dog. Liam Carter, who do you think you are, talking to my brother like that? Let him go now. Isabella yelled, pointing at me. I glanced at her. Isabella, am I wrong? You want me to give you my money and my parents' money, and I even have to change my damn name to yours? What is your head filled with, shit? You? Isabella's face turned beet red. The three of them exchanged a look, silently cursing Isabella for her insanity. They knew as well as I did that no man on earth would agree to those terms. It was pure delusion. Oh, now, her mother said, stepping forward with a syrupy smile. Liam, this is all Bella's fault. Don't listen to her nonsense. We don't need that much. Just a standard bride price. $1 million, a condo downtown, and a G-Wagon. That's all. I just shook my head. I used to think it was just Isabella who had lost her mind, but it was clear the entire family was delusional. Before I could speak, Mark laughed. Ma'am, if you want to make a wish, you should go to a church. You can't do that here. How dare you? This is our family's business. It's none of your concern. Mark just shrugged. Since when is $1 million a standard bride price around here? Plus a condo and a car? What makes your family so special? The fact that your daughter just had another man's baby? Ha ha ha. My friends roared with laughter. Her parents' faces went crimson. They knew he was right. Around here, a bride price for a first marriage was maybe $10,000, if that. A house wasn't a requirement, and a car was optional. That was for a first marriage. For a second marriage, especially one with a kid from a previous relationship, the expectations were far, far lower. But her mother was stubborn. Go away. This has nothing to do with you. Liam is willing. Hearing that, I let out a bitter laugh. I really had spoiled them. When did I ever say I was willing? Her parents panicked. Her father smiled and tried to put a hand on my shoulder. I shook it off, but he persisted, his voice unctuous. Liam, I know you're angry, but what's done is done. You two can just have another baby after you're married. Her mother quickly chimed in. Yes. Bella can give you lots of kids later. You've loved our Bella for so many years. There's no need to ruin everything over such a small thing. I laughed coldly. A small thing? My voice dripped with sarcasm. You call this a small thing? I stared at them, disgusted. I honestly don't know how your family can be so goddamn thick-skinned. Enough, Isabella screamed, stepping right in front of me. Liam, my parents have already humbled themselves. Can't you be a little more generous? Are you a man or not? I shook my head, a sneer on my face. Generous? You pull a stunt this disgusting, and you want me to be generous? Isabella, how do you even have the nerve to say that? I pointed toward the door. My lawyer made it very clear. If you don't return the money by tomorrow, don't blame me for what comes next. Looking at Isabella's face, twisted with hatred, all traces of her former innocence were gone. I didn't want to speak another word to her. I threw them out, but they kept special. Her brother, Liam Carter, you're a piece of shit. Don't you ever think about setting foot in our house again. And her, Liam Carter, I hope you don't regret this. Because even if you come back begging on your knees, I will never forgive you. The moment the door closed, the world felt quiet again. My friends gathered around me. Mark clapped a hand on my shoulder. Liam, you okay, man? I managed a faint smile. Why wouldn't I be? They're the ones with the problem. What I didn't expect was a call from my lawyer the next morning. He told me the Rossi family had paid back the money, quickly and in full. $3 million, not a penny short. I wasn't surprised. Her dad had been a contractor for years. After accounting for their house and cars, coming up with that amount of cash shouldn't have been too difficult. It turned out I was wrong. Her dad had made good money over the years, but the family's spending was out of control. Her mom's poker games often saw thousands of dollars won or lost in a single night. Her brother's study abroad trip was a money pit, and he was constantly partying, burning through the cash he got from me and even more from his parents. And her father was no saint either. He had a second family on the side, a financial black hole that swallowed everything he earned. To come up with the $3 million, Isabella had to use the $1 million from Rick Miller, plus another $300,000 she had in savings. But they weren't panicking. Her dad had a project that was just about to finish, and a final payment of several $100,000 was due. He assumed it would be like always. The inspection would happen one day, and the money would be in his account the next. He waited and waited. Days went by with no payment. When he called, the client just said they were having cash flow problems and told him to wait for news. The delays dragged on. Panic started to set in. After paying me back, the entire family had less than $10,000 to their names. For a normal family, that might be manageable for a while, but they were all used to a lavish lifestyle and couldn't rein it in. Her mom started running up debts at her poker games. Her brother put his nights out on a tab. Isabella turned to payday loans to fund her shopping. The father had it worst of all. He was getting pressure from his wife and kids at home and his mistress on the side. He aged several years in a month, the arrogant swagger completely gone from his face. The holidays were going to be bleak for the Rossi family that year. 6 months later, her father was drowning in debt. His company went bankrupt, and he became a ghost, constantly on the run from creditors. It started before Christmas, when he took out a high-interest loan to appease his two families. But the money was a drop in the bucket and was gone almost instantly. They never changed their spending habits, and when the final project payment finally came through, it was immediately swallowed by his debts, leaving almost nothing. He had to borrow again and again. None of this really had anything to do with me. Anyone in construction knows that clients rarely pay on time. They had enjoyed years of preferential treatment because of me. The fact that one single delay could bankrupt them just showed how fragile their lifestyle had always been. Another year passed. I was at the grand opening of a friend's new high-end karaoke lounge. To celebrate, my friend brought in a group of party girls for our private room. And there, standing among them, was Isabella. Our eyes met across the room. She looked down, her face burning with shame. I chose her. Maybe it was for revenge. Maybe it was a twisted form of help.